Hello, dear friends. Welcome back. So, I wanted to share with you guys my awakening story. When I say mine, I don't mean it from an egoic standpoint, um, but I wanted to talk about this path of no path, I would say. Um, so it started back in 2020, just slightly before COVID, where I was a college student and I was going for my accounting degree. And in one of the classes that I took, um, it was a very tough class. And the class was intermediate accounting, which was one of the toughest classes during that time that I was taking. And simultaneously, while in college, I also found out that I had this H. pylori infection that was ongoing for months that I had not known about. So during that time in my college days, I was really focused on my health and fitness and my physique. I really was identified with my body and how people viewed me and how I looked, and how I felt. I was very in touch with my body in general. Um, and as I invested so much energy and time into my body, and during the time where I got notified that I had this H. pylori infection, I had to take medication. But throughout those 3 4 months that I had not known that I had this infection, I was losing weight on a daily basis. So I was like around 210 pounds, very into fitness, and I identified so much of my identity in that. But as time have went on, those 4 months prior to my diagnosis, um, I was losing weight. I was losing almost like a pound a day kind of thing, and ended up after my treatment with antibiotics, I ended up losing like 60 pounds of weight. And during that time, during my treatment with antibiotics, I had a very tough time coping with the mental side of things, and I had never really experienced prior to that any anxiety or any fears. I would say they were always there. Uh, I can't deny that they weren't there because, as being a human, they were always there, but they were kind of like in this. Uh, they were hidden really, really well. They were really hidden, and all these past traumas that I have experienced in my life, just like any other human experience, there's no perfect human experience. I would say everyone has some type of suffering, and all these things during that time kind of just started flooding into my conscious. They started coming up, and not only did that create a lot of fear in me, but it created so much anxiety. And then on top of that, I was in a state of fight or flight, and that led into an OCD kind of episode with pure OCD, which is lots of intrusive thoughts and urges, and that led to me to want to escape those things. So the need to escape was, there is something wrong with my experience. I need to go back to how I was, and how do I do that? So I started reading a lot of things online of, what do I do? I'm feeling, I have all these bad thoughts. I have these urges. I have I'm panicking on a daily basis here, and I've never experienced this in my life. Well, then I ended up finding out that meditation really helps with those things. And so that kind of led me into Zen Buddhism and following Thich Nhat Hanh. And as I started to indulge in the practices of meditation, by meditating every morning and every night, I started to see the symptoms of the anxiety and the fear kind of fade away as I was diving into the practices on a daily routine. I started to see a shift in my identity, in terms of, um, before I was uh, eating meat a lot, and really not treating others uh, the correct way. I was not being loving to our others. I always thought that I was on top of the world, and the world kind of revolved around me. And so that led me to deeper states of meditation. And one of the days I had a profound experience where I had a disillusion of my ego. There wasn't really, I saw the oneness in everything. I had mosquitoes on me, bugs on me, and I felt the oneness in those as well. I felt love for the mosquito, and I felt so at peace with everything that was happening. It seemed like it was God's, everything was God itself, and I also was God at the same time. And I felt this connection and oneness with all of life, and that lasted, I would say, a very short moment of time before the ego kind of creeps back in and claims that as an event that took place, and it claims that as an experience owned by somebody. But I'm here to tell you that, um, I know this might sound strange, but it wasn't owned by anybody. It was an experience that just happened. Um, and the mind then comes after the fact, right? So your awareness is abiding in itself, and it's reflecting the love that it already has inside, and it's reflecting that externally. The internal is showing, it's reflecting itself inside you, and that's reflected by the external um, experience. So I had many moments of that where I would have these profound experiences. Nonetheless, those experiences do not, those are, could be a state of mind, and they can be a taste of being, right? But enlightenment, awakening is not an event that happens to somebody. It's not an event at all. It's your nature. It's the nature of your being. It's the nature of all beings. Um, and we are to live in that, and living in that oneness is where it's tough. And I can share where I had one of the nights after meditation, I had experienced a fading away of going to the center of this darkness. And I knew that if I had went in that center, I wouldn't have came back out as pollen, as myself, as this egoic identity that I have. But I would have to say, over the time period, my belief system has faded away. Like I start to see things more clearly. I start to um, allow things to be the way they are. But as I was in that state and those experiences and on that path, I got into the dark night of the soul stage, where you're feeling that your ego is slowly fading away. There is no structure anymore, and you don't know what to do with your life. You don't know what what is there to do. There's this lack of motivation, this sense of, like, I would say that fear and emotional traumas come up more frequently, and this is all the years of suppression, So at this time, I was 21, 22 at the time, and all my life, I've most likely suppressed a lot of my emotions. I would say maybe not when I was 1.5 or 2 years old, because I feel like 2-year-olds are really good at expressing their emotions, but over time, we have been taught to suppress them and to ignore them and to people please and to being how society wants us to be. And and these ideas and these structures live so ingrained. They're so ingrained in our minds that the momentum of these structures continue on even after you dipped your toes into the ocean of awareness. Even after you had your glimpses and you tasted your freedom, these things still continue to be a thing that you have to work through. And these are called, the shadow work. Um, no one is free from shadow work. We all have to work through those things because those are the things that have held us down. Those things are the things that block us from ourselves. They create this veiling of ourselves. So as we peel the layers of this suffering, we end up getting closer to the core. And as of now, like I've been going back and forth, right? You go back and forth from being to this ego identification, being, ego identification. Now, don't focus on the ego, okay? We're gonna focus on our being. When the ego is there, we thank it and we love the ego. We love we love it. It's necessary. It's an activity of consciousness. And we do not deny it. We accept it for what it's doing. And keep in mind, without that, maybe human civilization would have never been to where we're at now. There's a lot of negatives, of course. The world of duality, there's the negatives and also the positives. And I would say that it's not it's not wrong. There's nothing wrong with ego. What's wrong is that when it takes a hold of us and we live in that state, and we're abiding in that identity as the egoic self, we create a self of separation. And that separation leads to destruction, to fear, to violence with one another. But if we live in the oneness in God's being, we see ourselves as that. We see everyone and everything as that oneness. And there's nothing, if you have this glimpse, you know that how much love you have for one another. Even though there's days where the ego is there and it's blocking you and veiling you, you are still aware of all those things happening. You are aware. You are the awareness behind all of it. There's nothing that can touch you. And dear friends, something that I want to encourage is to keep going back into that oneness. And it's all right if you lose yourself. It's okay. You've lost yourself. There's nothing you can do at that moment. So you continue and move on and learn from it. And that's the beauty of it, is every moment we are gifted this chance to redeem ourselves and to see with the eyes of love and purity. And and we can do that. We can go back to our being, and we can abide there, and you can see everything that's happening in you. All things are happening in you. You are everything, and all things are you. So the more you notice everything, the more you're aware. And there's not a metric you can measure this, but you'll look back one day and say, wow, that used to bother me, but it doesn't bother me anymore. And that is a sign that you're going on the right direction. So really, just please continue to do what you're doing, and forgive yourselves, and and allow things to be as they are. Please leave a please leave a comment and subscribe or like this video if you really feel connected to it. But no obligation at all. Much love, everyone.